today from behind the 3-point line. I think you were okay with him shooting the three ball, but you want to see him mix it up. And granted, Forster did a really good job making it tough on him. And R.J. Davis got to 12 points, but 3 of 11 from the field. So they got to double-figure scoring, but none of those guards were effective. Heading into what's going to be a pretty important final 2 games of the regular season, you need some improved guard play from Carolina on the offensive end. But I really thought those guys brought it on the defensive end. You were able to keep M.J. Walker in check. He didn't kill you. Raekwon Evans didn't kill you. Gray didn't kill you. And I think that's the thing for this team is that for them to get where they want to get to, which right now is the NCAA tournament, that's all you're worried about is just getting yourself in the inner today as a 10 seed on Joe Lenardi's bracket. They're either going to stay there or probably move up to the 9 seed line. Carolina's got to bring that same defensive intensity for 40 minutes. And I know it's a hard thing to ask, but you've got to play with that level of desperation these final 2 games, because if you lose both those games, you're probably back on the outside looking in, heading into Greensboro. But then if you come out and you win those games, and these games are winnable, at Syracuse, a team you've already beaten, and then at home against Duke, a team you've already beaten.
Well, Duke, you're not going to have to worry about it. The rivalry is there. I'm not worried about it. Syracuse is the game I think that you're more concerned about that in. I don't – with the pageantry around the rivalry, the fact that – I mean, look, I know that they lost today, and I don't know how much you read into it with what Joe Lenardi puts together. Again, those are just his thoughts. It's not the committee telling him those things. He's not, going to sources. And, this is officially what the committee is saying. He dropped Duke 1 spot. They're still one of the first 4 out. There will likely be a tournament berth on the line for Duke going into that game. So I'm not worried about the fact that Carolina is going to know they have to bring it in that game. Syracuse, on the other hand, a little bit more concerned about that.
Well, I think the thing with that Syracuse game is – how does Carolina handle this little bit of prosperity? Roy Williams ripped his team the other night after they lost to Marquette, saying we can't stand a little bit of prosperity around here. Well, you just got your biggest win of the season to date, because this is your best quad 1 victory that's going on your resume. So what kind of attention do you bring into Monday's game? Speaking of Roy Williams, this win tonight got him to 900, which he now becomes the 4th college basketball coach to win 900 games, and he did so the fastest. So first off, congratulations.
Take that, Kay.
Congratulations to Roy. Really happy for that guy at ESPN who ever made that graphic about him getting the 900 wins, because they brought that graphic up as many times as they could.
After every TV timeout in the second half, that graphic had to come out of the left side of the screen there.
It was pretty much, what's at stake? Florida State could win the ACC regular season title, and for North Carolina, Roy Williams gets his 900th career win.
A team that's right. Joe Lenardi said if they would have lost that game, would have dropped back into the last 4 in, and they were pretty much focused on the head coach of the Tar Heels, which – to me, just shows you how great of a coach Roy Williams is. But,
but great moment for him. He's now won his 500th, 600th, 700th, 800th, and now, of course, his 900th game, all as the head coach of his alma mater at Carolina. And for now, it quiets the fans and the people with the complaining about Roy Williams' coaching. Because I thought today
you didn't go where I thought you were going to go.
Yeah, I thought today his coaching was I thought it was really, really good, because at this point with the turnovers, you can only tell them so many different things, and they're going to keep doing what they're doing.
Dude, they turned the ball over 21 times. If anybody thinks that is on Roy Williams, I don't know what to tell you. Like, what do you think he's telling them? Let's run a play where we may or may not turn the ball over? Like, you got guys – I mean, the one that I think signifies it the most was late in the game, R.J. Davis gets double-teamed right across midcourt and could have called timeout, could have even taken the tie-up because you had the possession arrow, decides to just throw a Hail Mary across the court to seemingly nobody, and gets the pass turned over. That's not stuff that no matter how many times you try to tell them, if they're going to make that play, they're going to make that play. That's not that it's not something that you can coach out of them. They're young guys. They're going to panic in those moments, and those plays are going to happen. So, I mean, for those people, like, look, it's time for you to shut the hell up. Like they've come out again. The people that are saying fire Roy Williams, I just don't understand who are you gonna find right now that is gonna come in and take over for this guy that's gonna lead you to a better spot. This team is young. That's why they're unpredictable, like we just talked about a little while ago. And it's just it's part of it. These growing pains suck, but it's just part of it.
A lot like the other game on Wednesday night where Carolina lost. When I read off the stat sheet, you would have thought Carolina won. If I'm about to read you the stat sheet now, looking at the way Carolina played numbers-wise, you would have think they wouldn't have won this game. They shot 38% from the field, 22% from the foul line, committed 21 turnovers, which Florida State converted those into 25 points. They did out rebound Florida State 44-36, but of their 20 offensive rebounds, they only got 15 second chance points, so less than a point per offensive rebound. Their bench points outscored Florida State 37-30, but they got outscored in the paint 38-30. They got outscored on the fast break 22-9. They had only 11 assists on their 23 made baskets. All that got made up, though. 27 of 30 from the foul line for this team. They hit their final 18.
You got that. You read the stat off wrong by accident.
No, I didn't.
No. The 22% was from behind the 3-point line.
Yes.
Right? You said at the foul line.
No, 3-point. No, I said 3-point line.
You said the foul line.
27 of 30 from the foul line for this team. They hit their final 18 free throws. I can't remember in my lifetime, even the team that won the title in 17 and the team that went to the final in 16, watching a team make 18 straight free throws.
Corey Alexander brought up a great point. This was basically the reverse of the first game. Florida State, they went perfect from the free throw line in that game. Carolina didn't go perfect, but had their best free throw shooting game in years. And, the other thing that I thought was, in my opinion, what was the biggest, factor in this game was, look, they only, again, they had 7 turnovers in the second half. Some people would say, well, that's still not really a great number. A lot of those came late in the second half, and the other part of it is you got to remember, in the first half, you had 14 turnovers. At halftime of this game, you had 35 combined turnovers in your last 3 halves of play. So something changed in that second half, and that was huge because the biggest factor in that first half wasn't even the fact that you were turning the ball over. It was that Florida State was scoring off of your turnovers. The second half, you didn't turn the ball over anywhere near as often, and it allowed you to sort of settle yourself down. You played a much better offensive game the rest of the way. And the other big thing was Florida State was the team that started making some of those head-scratching turnovers, some of those mistakes. And then eventually, that was early on in the second half where you saw Florida State just throw 2 balls away, similar to what we've seen from Carolina. But later on, you saw the defense making those plays. And I think that was the biggest difference in this game being a win and a loss. A huge comeback for Carolina.
Another thing that really played a role in this game, and we can't prove it because it's not the way it works. The fans made somewhat of a difference because it's the first time this team was playing at home with them cheering them on. And the Smith Center gets a lot of flack for not being this great college basketball environment unless it's a big-time game or the Duke game. But for this team, they were really beneficial tonight because they stayed behind them, and when they started getting it going in the second half, they made a difference. And so that's why having fans in the stands is important, and it's going to help Carolina, especially when they play Duke next week because that's their last game at home.
I think if there were fans on Wednesday, I don't think they would have lost the game. Maybe that's just me, but I feel like in this game, you were down by 16. I know that this is a different team than last year's team, but you would still feel like if there weren't fans here, I wouldn't be as confident that this team would have been able to come back. So, yeah, they're having an effect. And, I mean, if you don't think they had an effect, go back and listen to, or watch the video of the postgame when they were going and doing the ceremony for Roy. Listen to how loud 3,000 fans sound inside of that building. And that's only 3,000. Fans make a difference. Yep. They really do.
So with that, we got to go ahead and turn our attention to Syracuse as Carolina is playing one of those dreaded Saturday and then Monday turnarounds. I can't stand them, and I know Roy Williams hates them as well. It's a really big game for both teams. Syracuse, who lost earlier today to Georgia Tech, is still playing for their NCAA Tournament lives. This is a team that Carolina has already beaten once this season. They beat them 81-75 back in January, which really got Carolina going at that kind of part of the season after a sluggish start to ACC play. And this is a team that Carolina's had their number since they joined the ACC. Only lost to them twice. That was the first time they went to Syracuse to play them, and then, of course, last year in the ACC tournament. This feels like a good recipe for Carolina to get their offense in more, I guess, of a rhythm. Roy Williams is the best coaching against a zone defense. For a guy that hates coaching zone defense with his own team, he knows how to coach zone offense. And if you go back to that first game against the Orange, where they scored 81 points, Garrison Brooks had a really big game. He scored 16 for you, which is why I think at this point you're not really jeopardizing a lineup change, because Garrison Brooks is a really good guy against the zone. Armando Bacot had 15 points. And so you can still beat them playing the way you want to play, which with your two traditional bigs. But the guards are going to be asked to take three-pointers and make three-pointers. They were only 5 of 24 against Syracuse the first time, which usually that's what Syracuse wants you to do. They want you taking threes. And so Carolina's able to negate that. Why? Because they're able to beat them on the boards. As another thing, a zone team is very susceptible to offensive rebound. Carolina had 24 offensive rebounds in that game. So
that was a Day'Ron Sharp game right there.
So you understand the formula for this game. You want better perimeter shooting, but you understand that your now quartet of big men can carry to a win on the road in the Carrier Dome.
Yeah, well, I do think that your guards are going to have a better game than they probably did the first time around, but definitely a better game than they did earlier today against Florida State. Primarily, I think this has to be a big game for Kerwin Walton because he's going to get the opportunities. Remember, when they played them the first time, Kerwin was still a bit of a wild card. We didn't really know what we had in Kerwin at that time. Now, it's a little bit different. You know that he has the capability to go off, to string together consecutive threes. That's what you're hoping he can do for you in this game. But, yeah, you're really hoping that your guys are able to clean up on the glass and have success. Well, Day'Ron Sharp's coming off arguably one of his worst games of the year in this game against Florida State. This is a chance for him to bounce back. And then you flip it around. Walker Kessler's coming off his best game of his freshman campaign. This feels like a chance for him to extend off of that. And I think, with Kessler, we've seen it a little bit as he's gotten more confident too. His shot has come to him a little bit as well. Maybe he's able to get it to that foul line and knock down some shots there. We've also seen over the last couple of games, Armando Bacot has a little bit of range that he's developed as well. So we're hoping that's going to be able to be on display in this game. And the main thing that Carolina has to do is you got to remember what happened in the first half of that matchup earlier this year. You can't let Buddy Boeheim go to work the way that he did. When Syracuse has found ways to win games as of late, it's been because Buddy Boeheim has been the best player on the floor. You've got to keep him from being that guy in this game against it. And if you can, then you're going to have a chance to win this game. I think, this sets up really well for Carolina coming off this win. Granted, you have to go on the road, but there aren't going to be any fans here. This is not going to be the normal Carrier Dome environment that you're used to. Or actually, no, there may be some fans here. That is right. The state of New York, shockingly, has sort of gotten a little more lenient on their restrictions. But you still feel like this is a game that Carolina can go in and win. They're the more talented team. At this point, it's hard to get a read on a lot of teams this year because the imbalanced schedules and everything like that. I don't think Syracuse is a tournament team. So Carolina going into this game should be favored. And I think as long as they play anywhere close to the way they played in that first game, they'll have a chance to win.
Yeah, as of right now, Syracuse not in the NCAA tournament, but a lot of teams, they have an opportunity to play themselves into the big dance. And so you're going to still get a team that's going to become, Syracuse, that's probably going to be their senior night. Can't say, or no, it's not because they play Clemson to finish out the regular season. But
Well, you never know. They might do it just in case that game gets canceled.
They are going to come out and they're going to play. Buddy Bam, those guys, they want to play in March. And this is also, even though they've lost their last two games,